day in celebration of Edith Stein, who the church remembers today. And I didn't know much about Edith Stein. And so I took this opportunity to learn a little bit about her. And in case there are some of you who are not Edith Stein experts currently, I thought I would share some of what I learned. So Edith Stein is a German Jewish philosopher. She came of age in World War I and saw all of the hardships facing Europe at that time. She was an academic. She got her doctorate with the highest honors you could achieve. And even though she was from a very observant Jewish family, she felt very drawn to Christianity and very drawn to Roman Catholicism in particular. She tells this story. She said, while she was studying, she went to, I have this written down on my other monitor, so I'm looking over here. She went to Frankfurt Cathedral and saw a woman with a shopping basket going in to kneel for a brief prayer. And she said, this was something totally new to me. In the synagogues and Protestant churches I had visited, people simply went to the services. Here, however, I saw someone coming straight from the busy marketplace into an empty church, as if she was going to have an intimate conversation. And that is something I never forgot. Edith was baptized in 1922 and spent a lot of her life kind of going back and forth between the religious life, a monastic life, and the life of academia. Right after her life profession vows, it became in 1938, it became very apparent of the anti-Semitism that the Nazis had. And so even though most of the church in that time, in that place, was complicit with the Holocaust, her order made sure she and another person who was also of Jewish heritage were smuggled out of their place and into the Netherlands. And she lived in relative safety there for only a few years. And she was arrested by the Gestapo in 1942 and died in Auschwitz. She was a prolific writer. She loved St. John of the Cross. She loved Teresa of Avila. And I found a couple of quotes from hers that I found particularly moving. And this one, I think, speaks really well to today. She writes, "Do not accept anything as the truth if it lacks love. And do not accept anything as love which lacks the truth." I'm going to say that again. Do not accept anything as truth if it lacks love, and don't accept anything as love which lacks truth. That would make a good bumper sticker, a good motto. This quote really caught my attention. She wrote this, and this is one of her more famous quotes. "The world doesn't need what women have. It needs what women are." And I'm going to go ahead right away and make this more broad and use the pronoun we here. The world doesn't need what we have. The world needs what we are. And I remember an early mentor to me in my ministry said, "Carrie, you'll have to learn this lesson over and over again, that ministry is less about what you do and more about who you are. So make sure that the tasks don't overwhelm you so that you become someone different. Ministry is about who you are, how you occupy space, how you show up in relationships, how people feel when they're near you, way more than it is about what you're actually doing." I feel like one of those is the message of Jesus, and one of those is the message of our culture, heavily influenced by capitalism. You are what you do. Pull yourself up from the bootstraps. Not necessarily a Jesus-centered message, but you are who you are, and who you were created to be feels more like Jesus. And I think about this quote, "The world doesn't need what we have, it needs what we are," with relationship to evangelism and welcoming people into our churches. I know no one in the Diocese of Maryland would ever think or say this, but there are churches elsewhere, probably not Episcopalian, who say things like, "We should grow our churches. We should have more people in here so that they can help us do more stuff and pledge." When really God is calling people into our midst, not because of what they have, but because of who they are. And so I was enjoying listening to these words of Edith Stein, thinking about the welcoming spirit in our communities and how there are people out there who are being asked by God to draw closer to God. And there are some people who are going to want to do that in your churches. May we be strengthened to be God's hands and feet in the world. Amen.
Lord, have mercy.